Business grants. Is it really free money, or are there secret things you need to know? In this training, we're going to decode business grants. We're going to talk about where you go to get them. We're going to talk about some of the really cool grants that a lot of business owners don't know about. But we're also going to talk about 5 of the hidden things you really need to know about grants, things that might deter you from applying for grants. Or if you are applying knowing these things, at least you'll know what to look for and how to do this to be able to get the most money and to be able to protect yourself at the same time. We got a lot to cover about grants, so let's dive in. So a lot of options for small business owners to get money, right? And small business grants is definitely one of those options that's available. A lot of small business grants are available to all business owners, while other ones are specified for minorities, owners in low-income areas, even people in select industries. So kind of knowing the ins and outs of grants is very important so you can get an idea of what ones can work for you and what ones can't work for you. Now, grants are a great option. Everybody wants one because it's free money, right? It doesn't have to actually be paid back. Typically, when we look at getting money for a business, we look at 2 different kinds of money. We look at what's called debt financing, where you take on debt, a loan, a credit card, a credit line. You borrow money. It's got to be paid back to typically a lending institution. And then you've also got equity. And equity is where you give up equity or stock or ownership in your business for somebody to then be able to come in and be able to give you money but own a part of your business. It's not money that has to be paid back. They end up getting paid back when the business sells. But grants is kind of its own category because it's free money. It's money that doesn't have to be paid back. And because it doesn't have to be paid back and it doesn't really fit the debt or equity category, it's also money that a lot of people want to get. But it doesn't mean there's not a downside, right? There are some things you've got to keep a lookout for when it comes to getting grants. So a lot of benefits, including the fact that they don't have to be paid back. And they often come with ongoing support in the form of training and advising in a lot of cases as well. And you know, if you are a winner of a grant, some categories, there's only one big winner. Well, then that could even get you a lot of publicity as well. But again, there are a handful of surprising facts you should know about grants just to make sure you have the full scoop before you actually go in and apply. First of all, you know, free doesn't mean there's not without a cost. So I like to say in business and really in life for that matter, there's 2 ways you can go. You can either dedicate time or money, right? So I can buy a service to make the result I want to get faster, or I can not buy the service, save my money, and take a longer time to do it. So let's give business credit building as an example. We provide a lot of training on how to build business credit, and people use our business credit training and go out and build business credit now. And oftentimes it takes 2 or 3 years to get the same result our clients take. Now, look at a client of ours, they pay money and they get the faster path. So it depends. You kind of have to make decisions in business of time versus money, which is more important to you, one or the other, because typically you oftentimes have to choose. Well, grants, you're definitely dedicating some time. You know, the process of finding the right grant, of applying for the right grant is definitely time consuming. And in a lot of cases, the competition is pretty fierce. So you're going against pretty fierce competition for these kind of grants as well. So you can waste a lot of your time and even some money preparing people or having people prepare grants, apply for grants for you, or take a lot of your time just to go through the process to apply on your own. And there's no promise of return. It's not like you know you're going to get some kind of money by going through the time commitment. So this can involve a lot of your time. And the reality is some require an in-depth pitch, a video pitch, all kinds of details about your business. And oftentimes the time and the effort you put into it might not be worth it if you get no result. So it's some things to think about here. You know, you got to look at how you value your time, and you got to take this into consideration when applying for grants, because again, you know, the thing to keep in mind is that it does take some time to find the right grant program to actually go through the application process. Now, another thing to keep in mind is there's really not as many options as you think. You know, I remember back in the day, the question mark jacket dude. I don't know if you remember him. He had like, his jacket, his pants were all question marks. I love that guy. And then he sold some product that would teach you all these cool ways to get money. And it was like some massive book he sold you of ways to get money. I love question mark, dude. I looked him up the other day. He's still out there doing what he does. But the reality is that there's not a big, thick book of grants out there you can apply for. As a matter of fact, almost all grants really come from 2 sources, and both of them are the government, one state and local, the other's federal government. And we're going to talk about many other grant programs that are outside of that today. But again, a lot of the grants come from the government, and there's not as many of these grants out there as you think there may be. And there are some good options, but again, oftentimes the options are limited even when you go to the right place. So the best two places to go for grants are grants.gov. This is where you can get access to all the federal grants, and most grants out there come from some federally financed program. You can also go to Grant Watch, and Grant Watch is where you can keep an eye on the local and state kind of grants as well. And CJW Global Solutions says, I remember that guy. I didn't even question mark, dude. I love the question mark money guy. He was awesome. He always got me excited. You could not get excited by that guy because he was like all even more energy than I have, which is hard to say. So I appreciate not being the only person out there that remembers question mark money, dude. So grants.gov is a great source. So is the SBA. You can definitely go to SBA's website, and there's these small business development centers can help as well. There are these local community development centers. Now, I'm not a TV guy. As a matter of fact, I rarely ever watch TV. Maybe twice a month I'll sit down to watch something, maybe 3 times a month on a stretch. And one show that I fell in love with is Undercover Billionaire. I loved Undercover Billionaire, especially season 1. Any entrepreneur out there, you really should watch this because it just shows what we do as entrepreneurs, just the efforts or the skill sets this guy deployed in order to build his business was really cool. And it really makes me think about what we do as entrepreneurs. But what I loved about that first season is I never really understood the value of small business development centers until I saw that show. And when I saw that and realized what these SBDCs do, it's phenomenal. Like, he was able to have a place to meet people initially, able to do interviews for employees there, able to get help on grants. The SBDC did research on the best industries for him to get into in the area. Like, a large part of what I always thought you had to shoulder on your own as a business owner come from these small business development centers. So finding a small business development center in your area and having them help you with grant options, local, state, federal, or industry, or amongst many other things, is a really great idea as another resource. So you've got grants.gov for federal grants. You've got Grant Watch for local grants. You've got SBA who can help you guide you to grants as well. And these small business development centers can guide you to grants as well. Bunny says the question mark guy lives here in DC and I recently met you. That's crazy. Did you like recognize him on the street? Bonini. I hope I pronounced that right. You got to tell me, like, if you recognize this guy on the street. I love that guy. G. Williams, hey, I dig your content for real. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. VIP Business Lounge, thanks for all the awesome info. Great. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you don't mind, I always like to see where everybody's from. So if you got a second to type in your city or state, I always like to see where everybody's tuning in from. And I also want to know, Bonini, if you recognize or if you recognize that guy or something happened for you to recognize him. And if you had a conversation with him, because I loved question mark guy. I saw some of his stuff on YouTube the other day. So it's something else to keep in mind. Mini grants are only for specific type of business owners or businesses. So even with options that a lot of these options do exist, a lot of them are very specialized grants. So for example, some are geared towards those businesses that deal with research and development. Others are designed for minorities or female small business owners or veterans. So it narrows the amount of people that can actually be able to apply. As a matter of fact, if you're in some kind of minority, you really have an advantage with grants because there's a lot of grants that are set aside specifically for you amongst government contracts that you could only get if you're in a certain minority category. So a lot of the grants you're going to find are only for people in certain areas, certain states, certain industries, minorities, women entrepreneurs, veterans. So again, the overall bucket of grants that are available to everybody is much smaller than you may think. Now let's talk about some of these specifically. The Small Business Innovative Research Program. This is for scientific research and development, must be organized for a for-profit company, must be more than 50% owned and controlled by one or more individuals who are citizens or permanent resident aliens in the United States, and you can't have any more than 500 employees in order to get this specific program. But if you meet that criteria, this is one to look at. The Amber Grant awards a prize of $10,000 per month for a woman-owned business. One of the recipients also gets an additional $25,000 grant at the end of the year. And applicants only need to tell their story and turn in a $50 application fee. This is what I'm saying, right? In this case, it kind of goes to the point of what I'm saying today is that this is very specialized. It's great, $10,000 a month. And that gets a lot of business owners to cash in to get business off the ground, but it's only for a woman-owned business. So if you're not of that category, you're not going to qualify. And again, you got to tell your story. So there's a process of putting together your story, putting in an application fee. There's time, there's money committed there that you might not get a rate of return on. So not a bad thing. just things to keep in mind when you're applying for these kind of grant programs. So Maria's coming in from Las Vegas, and Banumi said, yes, I did. You recognize him. I think I would recognize him as well. Angela, welcome back. I appreciate you coming in. Kansas City, I got one of our cool team members. Keith runs our social media team, is from Kansas City. DFW, Texas, awesome. My favorite state is Texas. Chris Brown's tuning in from Tampa. Man, we are neighbors. And then Rhonda's coming in from Atlanta as well. Okay, and my name is pronounced Boomy. Boomy. I hope I pronounced that right. Boomy. Thank you very much for correcting me there as well. New Mexico. I haven't seen New Mexico on the stream yet. And thanks for tuning in. Washington, D.C., New York, and upstate South Carolina. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. So another one is the Cartier Women's Initiative Award. This award is for women business owners as well. This award has a regional category and a science and technology award. The regional award's $100,000, $100,000 for the first place, $30,000 for second, third place. So again, another a women grant that's phenomenal. These are two of my favorite. Cartier and the Amber Grant are two of my favorite that I've ever found researching for women. And First Nations Development Institute grant. The mission of this group is to offer grants that help Alaska Natives, Hawaiian Natives, Native Americans. They help with the application process, additional funds, and they also point individuals to appropriate grants that you can get from the government as well. So another one, a National Black MBA Association Scale Up Pitch Challenge. Okay, and this one you can get cash prizes of $1,000 to $50,000. Association states its purpose is to help newer businesses that have an African American ownership, and this is a pitch competition for startup business. So again, you're putting together a pitch. That's the drawback. So it's going to take some time. And again, very specialized. So we're talking about African-American business owners that can actually qualify. So more to the point of, some things to keep in mind that grants aren't as readily accessible and easily as you might think. But again, if you're willing to put in the time, it's definitely some cool ones you can get. The Minority Business Development Agency, operated by U.S. Department of Commerce, dedicated to helping minority-owned businesses access the resources they need to grow. Grant competitions are regularly changing with them, and you can visit their website for more information. But again, if you're a minority, this is definitely one that can work for you as well. This is definitely a program that could be able to deliver the funds that you need. Currently, they help members apply for grants via grants.gov, and this involves how to apply and then basically through the process. So what they're helping you do is find the grants on grants.gov that can work and helping you through the application process. So they're kind of a support network to help you if you're actually going out there to apply for grants. So definitely some sources. We talked about a lot of different sources that could work for you. But again, as you're seeing, a lot of them are niche, a lot of them are industry specific, minority specific, things to keep in mind when you're finding the right grants to apply for. So number two things to keep in mind of the 5 is sometimes you can find grants in surprising places. Okay. The first place is most business owners look for grants to the government, and rightfully so. Government grants account for probably 80 or 90% of all grants that are out there. But again, a lot of those, the associations that are out there are designed to support business owners that are women, minorities, or veterans. So they're basically these associations that are out there that offer grants or help you through applying for grants are kind of typically reserved for what we call the underserved. So veterans, women, minorities, those that have the toughest struggle of being able to actually access money. These associations are created to help those groups be able to overcome those hurdles and still succeed. Sometimes, although surprisingly, we have actually found some grants that don't fit into these categories. You don't need to be a minority and be in certain industries to be able to actually qualify. So for example, some larger businesses actually offer grants for small business owners as well. One of my favorites I found here is the FedEx Small Business Contest. So it's open to any business that's been in operation for at least 6 months and has 99 employees or less. They award 8 $7,500 grants, one $15,000 grant, one $25,000 grant winner each year. Now, here's what blows me away, and it really is shocking to me. There's very few of these I found. Like, our team has scoured the country looking for big companies that offer grants, and we have really struggled. And it's surprising to me because I would think people like Apple and Dell and HP and FedEx and all these companies that really serve small business owners would do better to offer us grants, but I haven't found very many of them. As a matter of fact, surprise, I don't want to reveal this yet, but I will talk about it. This year, Credit Suite's rolling out a $10,000 scholarship program that we're going to give away. And as a matter of fact, I think we're going to start doing this at least twice a year, if not every quarter, where we see a need for business owners to be able to get more access to grants than are out there. So we're even rolling out a $10,000 grant program that we're probably going to start doing once this year. Then we'll do twice maybe next year, then go to every quarter. So I'm just really shocked at how few of these type of programs are out there, but FedEx is the best that I found. Also, no National Association for Self-Employed, a grant up to $4,000 can be used for marketing, advertising, hiring employees, expanding facilities, other specific business needs as well. So another grant program you can look into as well. But again, wish I had more to show you. But as shocking as it is, we've done extensive research. Haven't found a lot of other larger companies out there offering small business or grants to small businesses, even though I think they should be. Hello, Atlanta. Thanks for coming in. And Sherita says, hello, Sherita Trucking from Houston, Texas. Hey, hello from Houston. And hi, thanks for tuning in for YouTube. I want to know to call my business updates from Massachusetts. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate that. In Gainesville, Florida, as a slides available. If you are a partner of Credit Suite, then they are. And what happens with us is we offer business credit financing as a service. And then we also have a partner program. We help people get in the business of offering business credit financing. So at this point, we'll give away our slides to our partners because that's part of what they're paying us for, is to take our content and be able to use it for marketing. So we're not. But in the months to come, we are planning on having notes or even the slide deck that you're able to type a code into chat and be able to get them. We're not there yet. So if you're a partner, you have access, but it's a great request. And in the months to come, CJW Global Solutions, we will be giving you that solution. So number one, usually a small business grant is not typically enough. So some other things the last consideration we're going to talk about today. Look, typically, getting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, it's not all the money you're going to need. Now, when surveyed, business owners typically, on average, estimate they need $10,000 to get the business off the ground or less. So if you look at all the people that fill out surveys with SBA and Inc. and how much money do I need, it's typically less than $10,000. But we often see that small business owners underestimate the money they're going to need. They typically need twice as much as they think they're going to need. So that means that, there's a good chance that you get a grant, think it's all the money you need, but you end up needing more money. So some other programs and things to keep in mind is a program we call Credit Line Hybrid. Credit Line Hybrid is the best program I've seen for startups and one of the easiest to qualify because it doesn't look at cash flow. It's no doc. There's no bank statements. There's no tax return review. They don't care about your industry. They don't care if you're a nonprofit or a for-profit. You don't have to have collateral. It's unsecured. You just need a good personal credit, a 680 FICO score or higher, or a guarantor, a family member, friend, investor, somebody that has that. You can get 0% interest rate credit lines, take the cash out of these credit lines. They report to the business credit reporting agencies. So you're building business credit while actually getting the money that you actually need to grow your business. And again, one of the easiest programs to qualify for if you have good personal credit or someone else around you does. Now, another program is business credit, right? I talk about that a lot. What I like about business credit is that anybody can get it. I don't care if you're a minority or not. I don't care if you're a startup or well-established. I don't care if you have good credit or you don't. You have collateral, you don't. You don't need collateral. You don't need cash flow. You don't need good credit to get it. Any business owner can get it. So keep in mind, Credit Line Hybrid and building business credit can supplement what you need. A grant can help. Then you can add these other things on top of it to get a well-rounded financial solution where you have more money than you really even possibly need access to. But if you only go with the grant, you're probably going to need more. Credit Line Hybrid business credit, some options to consider there as well. Now, don't give up on grants. They are going to take some time. And I just wanted to point out some of the things to keep an eye out for. And they might not have a substantial cost of applying, although it might cost you some of the time. But again, it's money that doesn't have to be paid back. There's a lot of benefits to these grants if you find the right one for you that you can actually apply for. Also, you can use grant funds to supplement, not necessarily support. So the best way to use grants is for supplemental funding. Get the business funding you can count on from Credit Line Hybrid, business credit, some of these other solutions, but use grants to supplement what you actually may need. And then that way it actually reduces the amount of money you have to be paid back, reduces the amount of payments you have to make. But again, you still have access to the money you need through grants and through other kind of funding. You also want to keep in mind, you want to apply for the right grant. Okay. You want to pay attention to the grants you can apply for and don't apply if you don't qualify. Specialized grants reduce competition. So only apply for the potential prize if it's worth your time and it looks like you're a good fit. This is how we succeed with building business credit. We take clients from a 2 to 3 year process and condense it to 6 months. And one of the ways that we do that is because we only tee up sources that our clients can actually get approved for. We tier it out and tell them the order of cards to apply. We tell them what they can qualify for or not. We gray out what they shouldn't even bother applying for. We go through this whole process of making sure that that our clients are applying for the credit, only the credit they can get. That's why we shorten the process. And it's the same thing with grants. You have to really keep an eye out to find the right grant programs to apply for. This isn't a shotgun approach of applying for everything. It's a sniper approach. You got to find the grants that fit best that you can actually apply for or qualify for. And then from there, apply for those grants. That way, you're not wasting a bunch of time applying for stuff you can't get. And again, specialized grants, being a minority, being a veteran, being a woman-owned business, you know, if you're in those minorities, that's a really good way to go because there's less competition. So the more niche an actual grant program is, the fewer people that are applying. So you have less competition. So some things to think about that. And of course, always weigh out your time you're committing to make sure it's worth the effort of the amount of money that you're applying for the grant. And study the requirements carefully, okay? Make sure before you go through the process of applying that you know exactly what they need from you. You know exactly what it takes to qualify. You make sure that you meet those actual requirements and make sure you know if there's any cost involved, what's expected from you. Okay, so for example, we do it's called HARO, help a reporter out. And sometimes we'll respond to those and say, hey, we can help with this. Well, it's interesting. Sometimes I'll fill it out and answer 10 very complicated questions that could take 45 minutes. Then they serve up another 20 questions to answer. It's like, it's kidding. It's a 5-hour process to do something I'm doing voluntarily to help a reporter. So again, you got to know what's on the other side of that. If you're putting an application fee in and supplying some initial information, what's the rest of the grant approval process like? What are they going to need from you to actually finish the actual grant approval process? These are some things you definitely want to think about because, again, this can be very time consuming and you don't want to get into something you actually can't qualify for. Okay. And CJW says, are these slides in your back office? If you are if you are executive, yes. So we have about 20 or 30 PowerPoints in our back office for our partners. And then if you're an executive partner, you get access to my PowerPoints before I even get them. So yeah, you had access to this probably 1 or 2 weeks ago in your back office. You can always get with our support team for help there as well. Davidson, North Carolina, thanks for coming in. Maria, hello. Thanks for coming in from YouTube. I've applied for loans, but because for my credit, they didn't try to approve or tell me the description of one error messes up the whole application. It does. And that's why understanding fundability, understanding what lenders are looking for, making sure you meet that criteria before you apply can definitely help. I will give you access to our team at the end here. I'm getting ready to wrap up. And then you can talk to our team. Our team will do a fundability assessment, can help you through that as well. So make sure you turn in everything that's required when you apply. If you don't, your application is probably going to get neglected. Grant committees may contact you. So again, you need to be accessible and make sure you're giving them a number that shows you're professional when they actually call that phone, and make your list and check it twice before sending anything and make sure you're getting everything to them that you can get to have the best chance of getting approved. So there's a lot of options for grants, but you got to make sure that you're applying for the right one, that you're actually willing to commit the time as well. Go to Grants Watch, go to Grant Watch, go to grants.gov, look at some of these specialized grants we talked about as well. Also keep in mind other kind of funding like business credit, like credit line hybrid that can help you get money. And of course, if we can help you along the way, we work with every legitimate type of funding. We never charge you fees for funding, although lenders and credit issuers or lenders will charge interest rate and points. We negotiate with them to even get you the best deal out there. We do so much volume with these lenders that they have concessions. Like just at our meeting today, we're talking about a lender that's hiring extra staff just to handle our applications. So we do so much volume with these lenders that we get concessions, we get better rates, we get better terms, we get deals approved that typically people don't get approved on their own. So some things to keep in mind, and we'll even help you get approved for the funding you need to build up to an SBA loan. Our strategy on funding is that you never need to look for money again. So if we can help you get financing, feel free to give us a call, 877-600-2487. And we were also talking about this to Maria. On that call, you can give us a call for a free consultation, and we do 3 things. The first thing is we do a fundability assessment. We figure out what's wrong with fundability and help you fix it so you actually can get approved. The majority of applications, over 80% of applications that are denied with loans and credit card issuers, are not denied because you don't qualify. They're denied because like the fundability stuff, the basic fundability structure of your business isn't set up the right way. We can help you with that. No reason to get it denied. As Maria was talking about, she had all kinds of issues when she went to get approved. One thing messes up everything. Well, again, don't let that happen. Give us a call. We'll do a free fundability assessment for you. We'll help you get your business credit reports to the business credit reporting agencies. We'll review those with you, and we do it for free. So again, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Experian charge $250 for the credit reports. We get them for you for free. Go through them with you, give you tips and tactics to improve your business credit. And then we also do a funding assessment. We'll tell you all the loans and credit lines you can qualify for right now. That happens on a free consultation by giving us a call at 877-600-2487. Elaine says, I tried for a fuel card but wasn't approved. Typically, the number 2 reasons for not getting a car approved for a business credit card, one is that your fundability is wrong. Something's wrong with fundability where your business isn't structured the right way. Go to youtube.com/credit suite. Look at fundability. Tons of training on that can help you, Elaine. Second, you're applying for the card too early in the process. To get fleet cards and fuel cards, you need to have about 8 accounts on your business credit reports, about 8. If you don't have 8 trade payment experiences, if you pull D&B, Equifax, Experian, you don't count 8 payment experiences, it's tough to get gas cards. So you want to have about 8 payment experiences, Elaine, before you do that. And Deodri, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Hollywood, Florida, thanks for coming in as well. And also, don't forget that if you got value from our training, please like and subscribe. I can see the likes in real time. The likes help us get other entrepreneurs in here and show them valuable information that helps them get money. And so we can continue to support each other. And I always appreciate an opportunity to be able to help more people. So by just liking and sharing, you do that. Also, check out our other social channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We have daily tips. We have hundreds of videos on YouTube. We even have a podcast called The Business Credit Financing Show, which is the only time that we bring in all these outside experts that teach you the fundamentals of running a business from the ground up all the way to exiting and selling your business for maximum value. You can access all of our social links, including our podcast, at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com. Go to creditsuite.com, and at the top right of the page, you can access our social channels. If you want a guide on fundability and building business credit, you can grab that at creditsuite.com/EIN as well. I just started typing. Okay, or trying, Elaine. So yeah, if you just started trying for a gas card, you don't have enough accounts yet on your business credit reports. And by the way, Elaine's struggle is exactly what I described earlier. The reason people take 2.5 and 3 years to build business credit versus our clients in 6 months is they're applying for credit they can't get, and that slows down the process. I use that as an example of what you don't want to do with grants. Make sure you only apply for grants you really feel that you went through the qualifications and you meet, or you're going to waste a lot of time applying for credit or for grants you can't get. Same thing with business credit building. Not knowing those underwriting requirements is part of why so many people take so long, because you just don't know what cards to apply for in what order. If our team can help you with that, give us a call. And Elaine, have 8 accounts and then go back for that fuel card and you'll be good. And Saria says, the town I'm from is a small agricultural town, 1 hour from any place. I know this town, and if people can benefit from a storage facility with grant are good for this project. Well, you're not going to create a storage facility just based on grants. You could get a business off the ground with grants, but usually a storage facility, you're going to want some kind of 504 SBA loan if you're going to build, or you're going to want a 7A loan if you're going to buy. Creating that from scratch, you're probably going to look at private investor money, because a storage facility is a great way to go, but that's a multi-million-dollar building typically. So you're either better to buy one, you're able to build one using SBA financing, or you can start it all from scratch. But private investors is probably the way I would recommend going with that. I think you got a better success rate with that. Deodri says, should I wait till I get my DUNS number to apply for initial vendors? It only takes 2 to 3 weeks to apply for a DUNS number, and most vendors are going to want you to have it, or you have a better chance of getting approved. So some of them, like Uline, Granger, you might not need it, but if you're not in a rush, and my advice, I get your DUNS number before you apply. Some others like Uline, Granger probably approve you without it. And Barry Richards from DC says, the question mark guy, Matt Lesko, was a customer of mine when I was in the restaurant business in the late 90s. I love that guy. And like I said, I thought about him the other day and went and looked for him, and he has content on YouTube and is still releasing content. So he's still out there doing his thing. I think that's the coolest thing. Mike, thanks for coming in, buddy. Can you buy an existing storage facility with those existing assets? You can. If I'm going to buy a business, then typically there's a few different ways I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at an SBA 7A loan. They're going to give me the majority of the money I need to buy the business. SBA 7A and a seller held carryback, where the seller carries back part of it, probably is going to get me across the finish line. If that's not enough, then I'm going to look at assets of the business, receivables, stocks, bonds, 401ks of the owner, account receivable, or excuse me, I said receivables, the actual building itself. But that's how I'm buying a business, using a 7A loan to actually get the money I need for the business acquisition, Then I'm coming in and having the seller carry a second, or carry what SBA won't give me as a second. Or if I need money, I'm going to look at the assets of the business and leverage those to be able to get the money I need for the difference. And Elaine says, I have a DUNS number and EIN for 10 years. Now that's great, but keep in mind, business credit building is all about how many accounts you have reported on your business credit reports. So if I want to get a Visa card, I need 14 accounts in my business credit reports. If I want a fleet card, I need 8. If I want a Staples credit or an Amazon credit card, I need 5. So where you progress with business credit building is all about how many accounts you have now reporting on Dun & Bradstreet Equifax Experian. Elaine, you can give us a call. We'll definitely get your reports for you for free, go through that and give you some tips. But that's what it comes down to, is that it doesn't matter how long your business has been open, or that you have your DUNS, or even that you have fundability right. You've got to have enough payment experiences or accounts reporting your business credit reports to move to each tier of the process. If you do that, that's really how you can succeed, is always make sure you have enough accounts to move to the next tier. If you need help with that, give us a call for a free consultation. We'll talk through that with you. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you on our next training, where we talk about more cool ways to start and grow, to get the money you need to start and grow your business. Thanks for tuning in.